Okay, I'm going to get to putting this hydraulic pump back together. The first thing we're going to do is on the surface plate, we've got a piece of sandpaper. Dabbing it with a little bit of oil. Keep the sandpaper clean. All we're really doing is trying to make sure everything's flat and there's no burrs on it. We're not trying to take off a bunch of material or anything. And that's what we come up with. We didn't go too nuts with it. There are some fine scratches on it. You actually want that. That holds the oil in and actually lubricates the part. Keeps it from burning up. So we'll just go through and do all of these pieces and now we can take everything over to the washer. So when I went to get the kit for this hydraulic pump, they couldn't get it. That's the long and short of it. So I basically sourced all the pieces myself. I couldn't get the proper seal for it. There was nothing that was anywhere close to being readily available. So I got the next larger one that will fit in the hole. So I have to make the hole bigger so it can fit in there. So that's what we're going to do now. Also, the speed should be way faster than this, but it's so out of balance. If I turn it up any faster, the whole thing bounces off the floor. So we're just going to make do with what we got. I want to measure it, see what we come up with as far as how far we've gone. I don't like these snap gauges, but it's the only thing I got that'll do a blind hole like this. Well, I think I have everything laid out here to put this thing back together. You guys just watched me cut the front seal, register and the housing a little bigger. While I was at it, this one didn't go all the way in, and I found a seal that would fit in this one in case this one doesn't, for some reason, work. Just in case. It was chucked up, I figured why not. Also, upon further looking at this, these bushings in this back cover are pretty wasted. They don't have much side to side, but that way they're pretty terrible. So we did find bushings either way, so we'll get to putting this thing back together. I already pulled the bushings out of the front housing, but I figured I'd leave a couple for you guys so I could record it and show you. That worked good. Plan B. That's a nice little bearing or bushing slicing chisel. Just kind of stick it in there. Basically cuts the old bushing out, doesn't mess the bore up. Which is more than you can say for the front half. I don't know if you guys can see that or not, but whoever did the bushings last dicked these up pretty bad. All kinds of gouges in there. So now that I took some tension off of it, pops right out. Ready for new ones. I am going to put a little Loctite on there. Red Loctite, because that's what I like. And I don't put Loctite on stuff that I want to move. Now, because this front pump half has some pretty gnarly scoring in there, I'm going to put some Loctite in there too. Now we'll see if the seal fits. Hopefully I made the hole close enough to the right size. Fit good. Put all the O-rings in. So after a bunch of screwing around and taking this thing apart, putting it back together about 20 times, I finally got it so that when I take it apart, or when I put it together, it doesn't lock up. I've come to the conclusion that I think what happened was this thing's been apart before, and I'm almost positive that this is supposed to be on here like this. When I took it apart, it was on here like this. The only difference is this relief cut versus the other side that doesn't have a relief. So the relief cut was on the pressure side, which doesn't make any sense to me. You'd think you'd want the relief cut to be on the suction side. The suction side typically needs more help than anything. So I think what happened was they took it apart, they put it back together wrong, and because these bushings were so worn that way, it allowed it to clear. And when it got put together back like this, it still cleared. Now that I put new bushings in it, it moved it over and allowed it to not clear. So that's what I'm assuming. So that's how we're going to put it back together. Mainly because that's the only way it fits together at this point. If it doesn't work, it's a $130 pump, I'll go buy another one. So I tried a whole bunch of stuff. I got Dykem everywhere because I was putting it together and trying to figure out where it was hitting and what was hitting. And there were some irregularities in here, and I grabbed my stone for actually cleaning up the mill table because it fit in there perfectly, and I knocked down a bunch of high spots that were in here. Put it back together, that didn't help anything. But long story short, I think I got it figured out. So we'll put it back together and cross our fingers and hope like heck it doesn't lock up. I haven't had it completely together yet. Well, in a form that doesn't lock up. I just did have it together, but without any of the seals or anything. So we'll put it together complete, cross our fingers, hope this thing wants to play nice. A little bit of tension on it's going to be normal, but when you got to put a vice grip on the shaft and really crank on it to get it to turn, that's not normal. Make sure we oil it. Being that the pump is lower than the hydraulic tank, as soon as you fill it up with hydraulic oil, it should flood the whole pump, and oiling it shouldn't be an issue. But I'm going to do it anyway. Being that we're reusing the original square cut gaskets or square cut O-rings for obvious reasons, these are the closest ones I could get, and they're way too fat. Here's the original. Here's the one I ordered. I don't know if it's obvious on the camera or not, but it's very obvious in person that it's not going to work. So because of that, we're going to use some anaerobic gasket maker on here. Not putting a ton on. But enough that if and most likely when those square cuts don't seal, this has got its back. And it doesn't dump oil all over the ground anymore. Hopefully. So we're not going nuts with it, just real light. just for the heck of it, we'll put her on this first. And put the O-rings in the front cover. I believe the whole purpose for these O-rings is just to put a little tension on these thrust plates. I don't think they have any other purpose in life. So relief on the suction side now. The main body, holding it so none of that garbage falls out. Shit. Whoops. This is Dylan's impact too. He was watching me the other day edit another video, the one where I was taking the transmission apart. He looks at me and says, "Dad, is that my impact you're using?" Yeah, buddy. A little too hard to turn by hand, but it feels really nice with vice grip. I mean, little effort. I think that'll do just fine. Oh shit, wrong way. Good enough. At the very least, way better than it was when it came out. Well,
go put it in.
Okay, so what I did was I put a whole bunch of, well, not a whole bunch, but not very sparingly applicated anaerobic gasket sealer on there. Mainly because I don't know how long it's going to take me to get this thing on there. And this stuff doesn't dry until it's tight. Like, doesn't dry, it just firms up when it gets no air. It's interesting. Whereas like a normal RTV or something like that, you've got 7 minutes with a, like an Ultra Blue or something. I believe it's 7 minutes before it forms a skin. That almost was cool. Guessing there's going to be some oil coming out. Oh, maybe not. So whenever you remove a gasket like that, clearance with the shaft is always an issue, or always a concern. You know, making it so the pump's closer. You got to make sure that it doesn't bottom out on the drive, and it's definitely not. And you can see now that I'm not grabbing onto a 5/8 diameter shaft. It's not too bad to turn it. So that'll finish up this video. Do me a favor and hit the like and subscribe button. It's free, cheap, easy. Really helps me out, and it's much appreciated. I'm going to start putting the transmission back together right now, and hopefully it's done tomorrow and we can get another video out on that pretty quick here. Have a good one. Till next time.